That is the sound of the jar of names. Let's get a name. So this video is for everyone, including but not excluded to Game Over. I hope it's not. Anyway, welcome to A Cup of Tea in a Podcast. This is the cup of tea. There it is. And this is the podcast. Right, so where are we going on my list? If you want to skip ahead in this week's podcast, you can go to this week's update, this week's topic, this week's TV time, this week's question, and this week's goals. That'll be in my first comment. But let's start off now then, shall we, with this week's update. So, minus a day, I'm up to date. I was up to date. I would have been up to date, except I decided I was going to record this podcast on the Monday, which is never a good idea because I never do it on the Monday. I usually do it on the Sunday, but I was not doing anything on the Sunday. So I thought I'd do it on the Monday instead. And of course, like I said, it never happens on a Monday. So it's a little bit late. Hopefully it's out Tuesday or Wednesday morning, more likely. So, but apart from that, I'm up to date. Like I will be in the next few days because, you know, this is normal. This is normal late stuff, not like big late stuff, which it was before. But apart from that, back like before, we're up to date. So that's good. Just a few days off. But now that's all happened, we can actually start moving ahead with some other plans, which you can go over to now to goals to find out what those plans will be. But now we're going to move on to topic. Let's go on to TV time this week. Not Pokemon Club anymore because I do these things on Twitter basically, where it's like day 13, ran out of Pokeballs, farmed the Pokestops in town to get 53 Pokeballs, and I hatched 2 new Pokemon. It's like a little mini update sort of thing, and I have pictures as well. So that's the last one I've just done recently. And I've got a Psyduck, Execute, and I've got my 53 Pokeballs. It's like pictures related to what I've done. So it's like a mini sort of like blog post, I guess you could say. So yeah, head over to my Twitter to find out what I'm doing in Pokemon Go. But TV time, let's get on to some things. So Marco Polo is season 2. It started. It's been out for a while. I watched the first episode and I haven't gone back because I wasn't a fan of the first episode. Like, I'm not sure what it was. I think I was the same with when I watched the first series, though, ages and ages ago. I think I didn't like the first one, but then I got into it a bit better. So I'm obviously going to keep going. It's just I need to find time to do it, and obviously I'm not being pulled towards it at the moment. But the other thing that I am being pulled towards at the moment is Dark Matter. It's back on. I actually feel like it's very better. Well, it's a lot better than the first one that they did, the first series, because they seem to be focusing more on the fact that they've lost their memories and stuff like that. And that's what I said. I remember you can go back and look at this in the podcast. I actually said that's the best parts of this series. It's the parts when they actually play on their unique stats, which is the fact that they don't know who they are. And that's working. That seems to be doing very well. So, you know, that's good. But yeah, and the other thing is that Three Musketeers, or the Musketeers, which I'm watching, which I haven't seen in a while. I need to catch up on that because it's nearly finished. So hopefully I'll do that on Saturday. Right, anyway, that was a bit ahead of time, actually. I need to go on to this week's names. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. But before we do that, I need to open up the page. Here we go. Let's wait for the pop-up to appear to say, oh, something's not right. Anyway, yes, so we have today the podcast. That is this episode you're listening to right now. The next thing you will see is called A Fable Adventure. No, it's not. Yes, it is A Fable Adventure. And the title is Mayor JD, which you might recognise from a Harvest Moon episode. And then later to that day as well, we will also have a Bioshock 2 episode called Good Night Grace, which is about one of the characters that we've seen in the game, or met in the game, shall we say. And then, hopefully, on Wednesday as well, we'll have a episode of A Fable Adventure called Gravedigger. You probably guess what we're doing in that. And then, back to normal on Thursday, we'll have a Bioshock 2 episode called Father Whale. And then on Friday, we'll have a Fable Adventure video called Beardless Prisoner. And the last couple of adventure video is going to be uploaded because that's my goal. I'm going to make sure I've done it. So I'm saying now it's done, which means I have to do it. But the last couple of adventure video is done. It's completed. It is a crest video. Yeah, that's right, isn't it? Yes, it is. Crest video. Yes. That's it. Yeah, and you remember the hint was about that word conjunction, where you have to sort of apply a code to it to break it down. The code was simply, it's the next letter along in the alphabet. So if you go back to the code and you move everything, the letters, to the letter before it, it would spell Cress. Right. Anyway, this week it's another anagram, which is where all the letters are mixed. It is BTDNAREO. A little bit harder than the first anagram I've got, so let's see if you can get it. Right then. But let's move on now. I think it's onto community section, which would lead me on to Mention Monday. It is. Right then, so this week we've got a few names this week, some regulars. We have Horia, Max Ravage, 40k Warrior Man, and Dragonlord 55511, and Mr. TFSL. Mr. TFSL seems to be appearing quite a lot recently, so welcome to the community, or the regulars, shall we say. But yeah, thanks for everyone for commenting. And now, moving swiftly on, which is good, to the Q&A. This week we have a question from my Lord of Dragons, Dragonlord 55511, who says, "Hello, Sir JD262. I have a question and a riddle for you. Question: if you had a luxurious European estate of your own, what would you decorate with it art-wise, like paintings or statues, and of what style?" Quite an in-depth question, really. I would probably do both forms of art, but I'll particularly do like I don't know many, so I'll probably get paintings from people I know about. So Leonardo da Vinci would have a lot of stuff there if I could get hold of it. I'm assuming I've got a lot of money here in this theoretical scenario. And Michelangelo and Botticelli, I think that's one of them. All these different people that I know about, I would probably get for, especially like Italian art. I prefer Italian art because I know more about Italian art through Assassin's Creed and my general interest of Italian culture. But yeah, that was probably what I would do. And the riddle is, every night I am told what to do. Every morning I do what I am told. But I still do not escape your scold. What am I? It is a device that you use every day to wake you up and to go to school or work. It might have an not audition, weather report or music station. It sits beside you when you sleep on your bed. It is an alarm clock, because it wakes you up in the morning, and you set it every night. Okay, after the Q&A, it is the subscribers. So last week we were at 1,188, and now we've gone up to 1,190. So we're slowly getting back to where we were prior to that whole glitched thing about the subscribers, which I told you was going to happen, didn't I? Anyway, this week we welcome to the community Pierre Walter, Jesse Joseph, Jacob Furmish, Pasha Ski, and Adam No Respect. But respect to all of those names for rejoining. For joining the community, yes. But thank you, welcome to the community. If you have a favourite artiste, let me know. Okay then, and let's go on to this week's question. Or last week's question, should we say first. Right, so last week's question is, what is your favourite Pokemon or favourite game? And we have some questions here. We have one from Horia, who says Blaziken, or Rayquaza, or Zygarde, which are two legendaries, and obviously the starter Blaziken at the start. So yeah, nice Pokemon. I'm not too fond. Well, yeah, I'm not too fond of Blaziken. I think out of all the starters from the third generation, I probably prefer Mudkip. Or I think I always used to go for Trico, but Trico's a bit meh. But I think Mudkip and Swampert and all that sort of line. Because I'm not... Blaziken's alright, but yeah. Rayquaza I know a little bit of, never caught one myself, because I've never really sort of got that far in that game. And Zygarde I only know a little bit about through my brief exposure to the series recently. Max Ravage says Gyarados, because Gyarados is Gyarados, and Pokemon Y is his favourite game, so a nice little name there. I wonder if you have one in Pokemon Go. Lots of Magikarps to get that one. And 40k Warrior Man says Snorlax and Squirtle out of the first generation, or, like Horia, Blaziken. I think we said Blaziken's his favourite out of all the generations, but Generation 1 it's Snorlax and Squirtle. Both begin with S. Right, so after the question, it's time for this week's question. What is this week's question? Right, so the reason why I didn't really do anything on the Monday, obviously Monday is never a good day for me to actually make a podcast. Always got to be done on the Sunday, otherwise it's a Tuesday. But the reason why I didn't do it yesterday was because I've been watching a lot of documentaries. I started by watching this one about mermaids, and I thought, oh, this would be interesting to find out what's the truth about them, if there's anything sort of concrete evidence. I got to about halfway, and first I looked at the comments and saw that everything's been saying it's fake and stuff. But then I got halfway, and I'm like, oh my god, yeah, this is so fake. And basically it's a mockumentary, but the way they've done it is just like they present it as if it's facts, but it's still a mockumentary, and I don't like that. Like after I watched his mermaid one, I went on to a dragon one where it is a mockumentary. I knew this from the start, so it was okay. But the way they present it is Like, they even say at the start, what if this was true? And it's like, that is how you should do a documentary, not the mermaid one I saw. You probably know what I'm talking about. It blew up on the internet quite a while ago. But I watched that one. But then from there, I went on to a history one, which was done by Richard Hammond, about the Holy Grail, which is a bit like the Da Vinci Code. And obviously, I've seen a Da Vinci Code, so I recognise the locations, and I've read the Da Vinci Code, so I recognise some of the things they say. So that was really interesting. And I'm actually surprised that some of these places actually do exist. Like, I knew they would, but seeing them actually properly outside of a fake film, if you know what I mean, it's nice to hear about that. It's nice to hear about some of the truth behind the Da Vinci Code theory as well. About the fact that the Rosslyn Church in Scotland, which I didn't think it was in Scotland, I thought it was in France. It's nice to hear that it is not actually built by Templars, or is not properly acknowledged as being built by Templars. So it's nice to know that, and nice to know the truth behind the actual code, that if it was real or not. And it's nice to hear the origins of the fact that the Holy Grail was a woman, came from the Canaanites or something like that. It's an old religious sect that was in the south of France, where they believed that there was two gods, an evil god and a good god, and they believed that the evil god created the world. So the Old Testament is the evil god. So they believe that the Christians and the Catholics are basically worshipping a bad god, because they include the Old Testament in their Bible and stuff like that. And obviously the papal armies killed them. But yeah, that's how that happened. Anyway, yeah, but it's really interesting. And then after that, I've gone on to some new ones today, which is about the origins of man, which I think a lot of, what's it called? Nova documentary, which is, Becoming Human is one I've just watched, as well as another one which I can't remember what it's called. But yeah, really interesting. So the question this week, sorry, there was a reason for saying all that, is, do you know any decent documentaries about like history or scientific futures and stuff like that, or stuff like that? Like, you know what I mean? Do you know any good ones? Because I might want to watch them. But yeah, specifically history. I love history, and I love like the evolution of man, even into the future sort of thing. But yeah, and I like mysteries, like not necessarily latest histories, more like the Holy Grail, or Arthurian legend or stuff like that. So if you know any, let me know. Okay, after the question, it is time for this week's comment, and this week's comment goes to, oh wow, God did get a name. I believe it's 40k Warrior Man. Because basically he said he liked his Snorlax and his Squirtle, and I suggested putting it together, making a Snortle, and obviously that's the whole conversation that's sort of gone from there. And the reason I'm saying this is because this will be interesting. Like, it's surprising that Pokemon hasn't done this thing where they merge two Pokemon together. Like, Digimon did it. So why not do this? Because Peppa Cookies, when we go outside to play Pokemon Go, she always calls a Spearow, or a Pidgey a Spidgeon, and it's like it's combined the two. So it's like, that's why I picked it, because it's sort of linked to what I've sort of said with my sister outside of the video world. And it's just like, why haven't Pokemon done this yet? That seems like something that'll be coming down the line. Like, they've done Mega Revolutions, so what is left? Like, I've seen a video somewhere they said, like, what is left? And it's like, perhaps combining two Pokemon together. I mean, it would be silly, I suppose, but it's interesting. It's something that could be along the lists. And they were saying, the same video I was talking about as well, suggested that there's not many possible ideas left for legendary Pokemon. Like, you've got the God one, you've got the what was the other one? You've got all these different ones, the Sun one, the Moon one, all that sort of stuff. And there's not really any legendaries that they can create that do stuff important in the world of the Pokemon, which I think is untrue. You haven't really got an evolution one. You've got the Mew, which is supposedly the origin of all Pokemon, but then what drives the Pokemon to change? Is there a Pokemon like that? I'm not sure. Is there a Pokemon for, say, the core, maybe? Core of the planet? Is there a Pokemon for gravity? There's not really, is there? So yeah, there's still loads of possibilities. You're only limited to your imagination. And I think that leads us onto this week's goals, yeah. So links to the update, we're now caught up, so we've done the goal, which is good. So what is this week's goal? Right, this week's goal for next week is to update all the details, because I've only been adding thumbnails to the videos. I need to add some details properly now. And then hopefully that should be all caught up. I'm going to stretch this and say add a couple of adventure videos, thumbnails as well. That's a bit of a stretch. Or another stretch one could be to start filming. One of the two if I need any extra ones, but that's that. Anyway, right, that's it for this podcast. It's actually longer than I thought because I rambled on about documentaries. Oh well, it's fun. Cool. So I'm going to finish this cup of tea. And I'm going to say, until the next time we meet, farewell. And I will leave you with, what film? It just so happens I come from a very long line of married people.